Special.
Congratulations, happy days to you. You've sure brought down the house, and we hope you have a lot of success. Congratulations, Mickey Mouse.
You're wonderful, wonderful, marvelous. I thank our keep you now.
When you get the call, you've just got to go.
Get out of the way! Look out, police car ahead.
But not too fast. 2.4 Children, tomorrow 8:30 on BBC One.
Kenneth Branagh continues the story of early European film on BBC Two shortly, looking at the years between the wars, when Germany's filmmakers flourished in an extraordinary period of creativity.
Omnibus looks at the life of the author of Pride and Prejudice, the enigmatic Jane Austen.
Her works are generally regarded as being among the greatest works in English literature. They have a universal appeal, and yet this woman appeared to live the most provincial, isolated life.
All the books have the same basic plot. It could be a Mills and Boon type of book, except one written by a genius.
Jane Austen, her own Pride and Prejudice, in Omnibus, Monday the 23rd of October, 10:40 on BBC One.
Faced with rejection, Darcy puts pen to paper now on BBC One in part 4 of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice.
Harrison Ford's the all-action hero alongside Sean Connery, now on BBC One, in Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
A family movie for Christmas Day now on BBC One. Robin Williams is a grown-up 1990s Peter Pan, rediscovering Neverland and crossing swords with Dustin Hoffman, the evil Captain Hook.
A tough and sometimes violent action movie for Christmas Eve now on BBC One. Sylvester Stallone is on the edge in Cliffhanger.
Christmas Day entertainment now on BBC One with one of Hollywood's best-loved fantasies. Judy Garland stars in The Wizard of Oz. Before that, for Boxing Day morning, BBC One sets off to find a better life for Fievel, An American Tale 2.
Historic events now as BBC Two looks back at the celebrations marking 50 years of Pakistan's independence. The latest releases first on BBC Two in Film 97. First on BBC Two, a wronged war veteran tries to prove his innocence. The Saturday matinee begins with I Am a Fugitive from...
Continuing the Saturday matinee now on BBC Two, a screen version of a hit Broadway musical and another postcard from the country.
BBC Two now opens a new season of The Works. Actor Ray Fiennes and his family talk candidly about their extraordinary mother. Janeway and her crew brave the elements now on BBC Two in the conclusion of a two-part story on Star Trek Voyager. Now on BBC Two, in the last programme of the series, Professor Stephen Hawking explores whether there's a single theory embracing everything. BBC Two now explores the legacy of Margaret Thatcher as Alan Clark concludes the history of the Tory party. Lunch isn't all that it's cracked up to be for William Holden and Ryan O'Neill.
Time Watch for BBC Two now, recalling the tough characters and tough conditions of the Klondike Gold Rush.
A Bollywood villain and some new Brits now on BBC Two, talking to Network East.
And new in Top of the Pops 2 in 50 minutes. First on BBC Two, the coolest guy ever to have worn a polo neck.
Before that, we're sifting through the papers on BBC Two. Stepping onto the front line, decisive moments now on BBC Two follows the camera at war.
First on BBC Two, it's a date for Now on BBC Two, it's Alf's party, and he'll cry if he wants to. A battle for a place in the second round now on BBC Two in University Challenge.
Now on BBC Two, discover Shakespeare's Macbeth in an English File special.
Quentin Wilson takes a spin in a seductive little sporty number now on BBC Two. Tonight's Star.
BBC Two now is talking to young people about their beliefs and what they mean to everyday life.
Now, the first of two films today here on BBC Two, starring the man himself. He co-stars with Dustin Hoffman in Papillon tonight at 9:30. Now, though, he lines up with Frank Sinatra in Never So Few. Mixing old and new, this is BBC Two.
Now on BBC Two, a review of a busy week for the press. Now on BBC Two, the Cold War, and with Stalin's death, the lethal power games begin, a political race and a military threat. This is BBC Two. Powerful performances now on BBC Two from Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. Condemned to a living hell within a brutal prison regime, one man holds onto his dream of a flight of freedom, Papillon.
This is BBC Two, entering the Animal Zone.
Back on BBC Two now, the series that likes a fine car.
Feel the rhythm first on BBC Two with a new series of sound stories. Get digging first on BBC Two for the essential guide to rocks. First on BBC Two, whet your appetite. Along with loads of swearing, this is BBC Two on the fiddle, on the pull and on the pop. Fresh comedy from award-winning writers. Now, BBC Two gives you Big Train.
Now on BBC Two, a TV first in the Ozone.
In 15 minutes here on BBC Two, the Simpsons are in the grip of gambling fever. First, upfront music news in the Ozone. First on BBC Two, Marge and gambling just don't mix.
Earth Story first on BBC Two, and dunes are busting out all over.
This is BBC Two, now Monday's News Night with Kirsty Walk.
Kavanagh and the cause on the ozone in 45 minutes. First on BBC Two, specimen jars at the ready in Heartbreak High. This is BBC Two in the land of the pharaohs.
First on BBC Two, if you've never owned a piece of vinyl, then you're too young to be watching this. Here on BBC Two, we stay to the end of that session of the UK snooker final, so we're running a little bit later than scheduled. Now Howard Stableford is feeling the heat as we head into the animal zone.
Introducing a night from the natural world now on BBC Two, David Attenborough.
Now on BBC Two in widescreen, if the music doesn't get you, Frank Skinner's jokes will.
Another tale from the storyteller in 45 minutes on BBC Two after Robot Wars.
Are you ready for a ballet classic as you've never seen it now on BBC Two? A daring new adaptation of The Sleeping Beauty in widescreen, introduced by Deborah Buell.
A schedule change now on BBC Two as we go live to the Houses of Parliament for a special service, introduced by Edward Sturton.
Scary stuff now on BBC Two. Are Buffy's worst nightmares coming true?
A new series now on BBC Two widescreen reveals Churchill's Phantom Army, who with stealth and cunning were the inspiration for James Bond. Betrayal, torture and death just a breath away for a British secret agent.
Settle your stomach now on BBC Two with a double dose of Ren and Stimpy.
BBC channel is launching on Monday the 11th of February. We've had a sneak peek behind the scenes here and it's been absolutely brilliant. And take a look at some of the talent that you will see on the channel. Ugly lot. Excellent. We've had very much fun here today. We are behind the scenes of the Saturday show tomorrow and with Danny and Joe. We've got the next big thing with Joe and Abby as well as Blue Peter. Mystique are singing on the show. And away we go. Have a good night.
An injured gerbil and a new start for one of the vets in practice tonight here on BBC One at 7.
Our live concert earlier means we're running 15 minutes later than billed on BBC One with an explosive crime thriller set in Northern Ireland on New Year's Eve. With some violent scenes and strong language, fate and chance collide in Jump. BBC One in 2017, bringing us together for more amazing moments from me, Dean Lydiot, and all of us here. A very happy new year to you. Hope you like our exciting new look of oneness for the new year. Now then, later than billed, with some strong language, let's party on with Miranda Hart.
Now the BBC News with Simon McCoy.
Jump into 2017 with a crime thriller set on a fateful New Year's Eve in Northern Ireland, now at the new time 2:40. First, later than billed on BBC One, we'd like to bring you this special New Year announcement.
Usain Bolt begins his bid now here on BBC One for his 12th and final World Athletic Championships. Oh, hey, I've got a stitch just thinking about it.
Doesn't it just warm the cockles of your heart on this cold Saturday night? Feel the love of the festive season as our decorations go up. Christmas together with BBC One and an early present to enjoy now. Here's Michael.
Some strong language now on BBC Two Northern Ireland, and the story of an influential musician who, back in the late 80s, was top of the pops.
Continues Tuesday at 8 on BBC Two.
Knowledge, nerve and lateral thinking in the next 90 minutes on BBC Two. The University Challenge quarterfinals here in half an hour, followed by Only Connect at 5:25. First, Mastermind contenders are back for more.
Boxes of fresh haddock in the cupboard under the stairs. Weird things are happening in Cradle to Grave. Comedy with Peter Kay tonight at 10 here on BBC
Two. Howard's End, the finale tomorrow at 9. Right now on BBC One. Connie, what are you playing at?
This is BBC One in the North West. Now the BBC News with George Alagaya and Roger Johnson at 6 o'clock. This is BBC One in the North West. Now the BBC News with Simon McCoy and Roger Johnson at 1 o'clock.
Welcome to BBC One. I'm your live announcer Jenny with a lovely start to Friday night. As it's the BBC's 100th birthday this year, the One Show is celebrating by taking a trip back in time.
Coming up on BBC One.
Next on BBC One.
Good evening and welcome to The One Show, transmitting live from New Broadcasting House in London with Alexandra Jones.
And Ronan Keating. The BBC was born 100 years ago when presenters had to speak like this.
But in 2022, we can be a bit more, colourful and speak like ourselves, thank goodness. A lot else has changed since then, though, and throughout the year, the BBC's marking its 100th birthday in style. You'll be seeing a lot of this logo.
Good afternoon and welcome to the BBC News at 1. Tributes have been paid to the TV presenter and comedian Paul O'Grady,